Welcome to another On Deck Baseball tutorial video. This time around we're going to be talking about rosters and using the rosters. So we have our book here. I have a video describing why we use the book and how this is and why this is the suggested way to set up your teams. But anyway, we're going to go over to the roster. So each predetermined team will come with a roster already set up. The roster is going to start off with your rookie difficulty setting points budget, which for rookie is 1,825 points. You'll notice that each player in your set will have a value up in the top right-hand corner. Garland is worth 75, Torres 62, Gabriel 65, Alcova 74. These are the points that you'll use to build your rosters. If you decide to use the predetermined rosters when you first get the base set, each team will come with their own roster, like I said, completely filled out. Some teams will actually have some points left over at the end of their roster being filled out. These teams can be used, carried over into the next season for picking up free agents and building out the rest of your roster. Should you choose to go down or go up a difficulty setting, the points available for your budget will decrease, making it a little bit more difficult to fill out your roster with star players, and you'll start having to look for utility players and filling out your rosters that way. So what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of go over how to fill out your roster should you decide to do an expansion, or a fantasy draft with the players that come in the base set. So I have a blank roster here. I am going to start out with 1,825 points. That is, again, the rookie difficulty setting for building up your rosters. And I'm going to have myself a calculator. Now, this is also going to be available on the On Deck Baseball website once it is open. And it will be in an Excel sheet. So you won't need the calculator if you do it on a computer. Everything will distribute itself as far as points go. So what we have here is our player information. This is all the needed information when building out your rosters. Last name, first name, the primary position, secondary position. You could put the positions in there as well as their fielding ratings if you want. So if I were to pick Garland first, he'd be a left fielder and a -3 fielding. So you could put that in there so you can see it. You're going to do the points per year and the years left. This is in the contract negotiator file that will also be available on the website. For the reasons of this video alone, we're just going to say that every guy is going to be signed for 1 year. If you do a fantasy draft, you could also do that after you do the entire draft. The points left is going to be the budget minus the points that you're giving your player. That's going to be your points left, and then points per pick left for the rest of the draft. This roster is set up to have 25 players. If you decide to have more players than that, you'll have to adjust your points. A little instruction is provided in the instruction manual for that, for building up your rosters as well. So we're going to go ahead and start our fantasy draft. I have a few players here. We're going to use all the Knights since I have them at my disposal. And we're going to say that we pick Joe Garland first. So I'm going to go ahead and write him in and get all of his information. He is a left fielder. Secondary position is right field. And we're going to sign him for his regular points per card, which is going to be 75. So now we're going to take our 1825 minus the 75. And that's going to give us 1750 left in points. And that's going to be divided by the 24 roster spots that I have left, which means that I have 73 average points per pick. Sorry for the handwriting. So we're going to put that down here. And we're going to say that we're going to pick up Alberto Torres with our second pick. Put his name in there. He is a third baseman. Secondary position is catcher, and he is worth 62 points. So we're going to take now our 1750 and subtract out the 62 points that we used for Torres, which is going to give us 1688. And we're going to divide that now by 23, which will give us an average of 73 points still. Now, with the third pick in the draft, we're going to go ahead and pick George Gabriel. He's a right fielder, and he can play left field in center field as a secondary position. He is worth 65 points. And basically do the same thing here. 1688 minus 65 equals 1623. Divided now, since he has a third pick, we'll have 22 picks left, which is going to bring our average up to 74 points per pick. The fourth pick in the draft will be Alcova. He is a second baseman, shortstop, secondary position. He is worth 74 points. And that's going to be 1623 minus 74, which will give us 1549 for the rest of the draft. And we're going to divide that by 21, and still 74. So these numbers can fluctuate. If you get higher points, lower points, you'll see that the average can stay pretty consistent throughout as you build up the roster. But it is a good way to keep track of the points that you have left and the points that you have left for the players, so whether or not at the end you might be able to draft somebody a little bit better than you thought you might not have been able to. You'll notice that here in the predetermined rosters, everything is set up also, so you can kind of see how they were built out. Leaving some points at the end. And it definitely gets more difficult when you increase your difficulty setting. When those points come off, you really have to make sure you're watching that average. It is a little bit easier with the 1825. You have a higher average of points you can use per player, which does make it easier for building out those teams. So that is your roster development for fantasy draft. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you have any questions pertaining to this video, leave your comments below, and I appreciate the time.